Hi class, today we are going to learn about lesson 10 ionic bonding, which is belong to topic 3 chemical bonding. And after the first and the second activity, which is the formations of ions and formations of ionic bond, now we will figure it out about the ionic crystal. Let's take a look at the definitions and the structures. So you all know that under normal conditions, ionic compounds such as sodium chlorine exist in a crystalline form. However, the question is why? And to answer these questions, we will study in these activities. So, what is ionic crystal? Ionic crystal is a type of crystal that is formed by cations and anions. And this figure is a part of sodium chloride crystal. You can see the difference between the sodium ions and the chlorine ions. And now let's make a model of ionic crystal to understand more about this. Each group will have 5 members and we will have to make a model of sodium chloride structures in 10 minutes. However, to build this, we have to answer the following question first to understand how to build it. The first question is, which ions form the sodium crystal? Please raise your hand to answer these questions. The answer is the cations is sodiums and the anions is chloride. And you can see the differences in the picture. For the pink and bigger, it is chloride, and smaller and blue, it is sodium. The next one is, what is the arrangement patterns of the ions in the crystal structures? You will have to observe the picture carefully to answer these questions. The answer is arranged next to each other in alternating pattern. Alternating pattern is we will build it different, and for example, for the first layer, the sequence is sodium first and then for the chloride and then sodium, but the second layer is chloride first and then sodiums and then chloride. So it's like different next to each other. For the third questions, it is how many chloride ions are surrounding each sodium ions for the nearest neighbor and vice versa. You can observe the picture and then answer these questions. So for the answer, it is each chloride ion is surrounded by 6 ions of sodiums, and each sodium ion is surrounded by 6 ions of chloride. So now we will make the model of sodium chloride structures out of clay and wooden stick. And the requirement for it is 3 plus 3, it is in cubic shape, and the model must be stable. And we have to distinguish between different ions, which one is bigger or which one will have different colors. Each group will have 10 minutes, and after 10 minutes, you have to go to the board and present and explain for your classmate about the structure of it. And each group will have the sheet to evaluate your friend's product. After we have built the model of sodium chloride, now we will figure it out about more detail about it and what is the structure of sodium chloride crystal by observing the model we have built. Do you guys have any opinion about this? And yes, let's write down in your notebook. The sodium chloride crystal structure is formed by sodium and chloride ions, and the ions are arranged next to each other in alternating pattern, and each sodium is surrounded by 6 chloride ions and vice versa. So In order to answer the questions that we have mentioned in the first beginnings of these activities, now we will have to answer two suggestions questions first. The first one is, how do the ions in an ionic crystal interact with each other? The answer is by electrostatic attractions between opposite charge, which make it very stable because it affect each other in one crystal, which make it very firmly. The second question is, why an ionic crystal stable? Well, because these strong ionic bonds hold the ions very firmly in place. As following questions for the questions one I have mentioned before. Please write down the answer for these two questions. So, the reason for the crystalline form of an ionic compound under normal condition is the ions in an ionic crystal are held placed by very strong electrostatic force between opposite charge. And for the additions, information is the ionic compounds are usually solid at room temperature with very high melting point and boiling point. They are hard, brittle, and do not evaporate easily because of their very stable structures that we have mentioned before. And that is the end of our activities.